like, oh, this is probably like 42. You get up there, they're like 87. And you're like, what? I told him in my other one. So they said, well, we'll take this off and put it over here. And then
we are
unpacking and redistributing the weight between multiple suitcases. And there's a whole line of people behind us.
They're up there. We're still overweight.
Oh, my goodness.
I was like, Keisha, get over here. It's over. I was like, all right. I put the sweatpants on over my jeans.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I was like,
hysterical.
I went up and he's like, now you're still over. I was like, all right.
Turn water to wine, then he's walking on water. He's healing the blind, then raising a daughter. 3 fish and 5 loaves, 5,000 he served. Spoke life to the dead, the lame, the mute, the deaf, and they heard. There's nothing that he won't do to get his love through to you, to help you see clearly. He even might spit at you. See, that's what happens when you encounter the living truth. Something needs to change. He'll never leave you the same as you came. So you're coming in hot, going out like an igloo. Your sins he forgot, cause that's what my God do. No longer a stranger, he gave us a hanger. So hang up your old ways, dance in the fire, reset this banger. I put this on God that he's always showing up like I know he would. In every situation, in every hood, suburbs, and ghettos, everywhere around the world. I put this on God that he's all good, all good. He's always showing up like I know he would, know he would. In every situation, in every hood, suburbs, ghettos, uptown, around the world. I put this on God that he's all good.
What do you think it entails for a writer's life other than notebooks and pens? Like, I think people, when they think of writer's life, this is what they see, just notebooks and pens, right? But we both know it's a lot more than that.
Yes, absolutely. You know, for me, I think, and just in the process of me writing a book and the things that I do that's different than probably most people, I started off making an outline. I did it on paper, then I moved it to the computer. And then, you know, like I see a digital life more than I see handwriting on paper. But I'm a digital person. So I don't know. Right. I don't think of the old typewriter, you know, ting, 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 ting.
Oh, the classic.
Yeah, I don't think that at all. But I also think that a lot more people do voice recordings or, use the voice recorder or voice notes and then have it translated. Mm-hmm. So either way, I think that's a great opportunity to use it. And, you know, I'm a voice notes girl myself. So I think that it's so helpful. There's so many different ways now that you can write. It doesn't require you.
Yeah, remember back in the day, like you either had to write it all out and hope that your handwriting was readable for someone to see, and then you literally had to snail mail it to them, or you typed it up on, I mean, we're talking like Commodores back in the day, the old Commodore computer, and then you print it out and you snail mail it off to somebody. And I mean, we've come a long way from all of that. Like, I know you're very digital, but I'm very old school. I write it all out on paper first. I don't do outlines. I find it's way too constructive for me. Like, I feel like I'm trying to write in a box and it just stunts my creativity. So I don't follow a timeline at all. I do now. Something I do differently than a lot of people do is I write the end first. Because for me, I need the roadmap to be placed of getting there. Like, and 9 times out of 10, that's not the end of the book. Sometimes it is, but it's rare that it stays that way. But I have to just frame my mind into, okay, I got to get there. So now I got to build my story across there. But we all know I'm a fly by the seat of your pants person. So I don't write with any organization either. Like, when it comes, I write it. I don't be like chapter 1 and then, because I know when I write stuff, I might think it's chapter 1 and it's probably like chapter 7. This is not really the story that I want to get to. So I think people need to understand there's so many different ways you can do it. I know when I ghostwrite for people, I tell them they can do it one of 2 ways. They can either do it in notes and send it that way. But however, I prefer that they use the voice memos that you talked about. And here's why. Because when someone is telling their story and they're speaking it, as a ghostwriter, you're looking for where the inflections
Right.
are in their voice. And people don't understand when you speak it, usually when you come to a highly emotional moment, you get the grovel in there and you can just tell you're trying to fight back tears. As a ghostwriter, when I'm hearing that, like oftentimes I'll listen with my eyes closed, so I'm just all in on what is being said. But I'm listening for those spikes in what you're saying because that tells me, okay, this is where we got to pack it on, right? This is an emotional piece. Right here, we got to pack a big punch. We got to be like Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Mike Tyson, punch it out through here. And then sometimes you get where they're like, yeah, I just walked down the street and there was two guys standing on the corner. Okay, well, obviously we need to add stuff in there because you got to like visually right. But I tell them like, you have to visually see, like when I'm reading something or listening to something, you may say that little stuff. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, we need to expand this whole scene. Like, what was the weather like that day? What are you feeling during that? One, what kind of car are you driving? Because it does really make a difference to the viewpoint. If you're driving some, little car, then you don't see as much as what you do in an SUV. So those are all I'm thinking as I'm listening to all this. But that's what I tell people when you ghostwrite. Look, I just need you to send it to me with your voice. And then I hopefully can understand a lot of what you're saying. Because if not, we're going to go back and I'm going to be like, I need you to re-record this part. And then, you have your ways of getting into the computer. But yeah, I think people get so boxed in thinking that there is just one particular way to write a story and one way you have to follow. And that is the way. But that's not true.
No.
Because some people only want to talk it. And then, you can have that and then you put it in Word and Word can translate from what you're saying into the computer and you can go from there and, clean it up some. But yeah, I think people get so overwhelmed by the idea of that they think there's one standard way. And there really isn't because Keisha and I, we've seen all kind of ways. I mean, people have sent us like Post-it notes and they take pictures and you only got so much room to blow this thing up on your phone. Usually I'm like, I need my iPad because I got a much bigger screen on my iPad than my phone. And your phone, you got this wee little thing, you're trying to be like, what are they saying right here? Or, some people still snail. They still send it to me in the mail. And, it's a little iffy for me on that because I'm like, man, if it doesn't get here, like, what are we going to do? Because hopefully you have another copy, and then we get some email. And here's the funny thing. I always told Keisha, you're on backup because if they send it on Google, and Keisha laughs every time because I'll call her and I'll be like, I just sent you something and I'm going to need you to pull this down for me. For some reason, none of my devices, not my phone, not my laptop, not my, iPad, none of it, will pull down a Google Doc. I'm like, you need to get in there. You need to bring that thing down to Word, however you do it. Like, now, one thing I am quite a stickler of is I really prefer everything to come in Microsoft Word. It's, the most general program there. Most writers use it, most editors use it, and then you pull it off in a PDF and you send it. But I require them to come in Word. But every now and then because if it's large, it's coming like Google Docs, right? And I'll call Keisha and she can hear the inflection in my voice. And I'm like, I just sent you something and I need you to bring it down, download it, send it to me in Microsoft Word, and don't send it to me before you get it there. And she's like, it's just a Google Doc. And I'm like, no. So it's funny because that's also old school. And I'm very old school in writing. My mom, every time she goes to the store, all my family and my friends, they always get me crazy pens because I love crazy pens. So listen, if you're watching and you got some crazy pens you want to send, just comment. We'll give you the address to send it to because I love crazy pens. But yeah, I think it's that way. And Keisha is much more digital and she works a lot in Google Docs. she does a lot of that. And now I'm old school. I'm like, why aren't you using Microsoft Word to her? Sometimes I'm like, don't send it to me in Google. I'm gonna send it back and be like, put it in Word. And it's funny how you can go and just build these kind of habits when
Yeah.
you're writing, right? Like that's what I'm used to. That's what I wanted in. That's what I'm comfortable working in. And that's how my editing team gets it too. Because when the editors called and I was like, she said, how do I do this? And I was like, well, why aren't you doing it in Word? She's like, oh, why was put in here? And I'm like, no, ma'am. It's coming from Word for me. Word.
One of those things. It's just your
Yeah,
preference.
it's just like-
Yeah. So I think
Right,
a lot of it
it's
that
just
people
my
have their
preference.
own little vision of what it looks like for them, and then being able to adapt it to get it to the final product. Because here's the thing, it's going to go through so much iteration from the moment they got the idea to the time that the book is formulated together. It's going to go through iterations, and it's going to look different in
Yeah.
different ways. And so for me, it doesn't matter what it looks like. I just need all of it. Get it to us first. Let us take a look, and then we can formulate it and figure out if chapter 7 needs to be chapter 1 or chapter 12 looks like, chapter 5. I don't know, depending on where the story goes and how it weaves and how the story flows. So to me, it's just the structure of it, right? And we're easy and adaptable to how we get it and how we can translate it. But once they get that draft copy of the book in their hand, they are like, let me get the copy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I wrote all of that, and then and if they put pictures in it or whatever they put in it, or finally seeing their words on paper is the biggest amazement of how, like, oh my gosh, I did this. And so I love that. That's like my favorite piece of the book, because then once we have it, we're going to tear it apart anyways, because we have to go back and once it's constructed and in the draft, like that's my favorite part. Just get me to,
It's
you
like a
just
mad
do all of
science
that
lab,
to
right?
get to the draft. But then when we get it to the draft is when the real work begins. Because it's teamwork, right? The editors have to go back through it. We go back through all of the formatting, and then putting the cover on it, putting all of the extra meat that goes with it together. And that's what's the exciting part of the book for me. And not only is it just the exciting part for the book, but again, I get to be the part, you get to put the book together. I get to be the part where they get to see it on the shelf. And then how many can they buy for their book signing? How many can they buy for their website? How many can they buy for pre-sale? All of those things. And that's what's really the fun part for me.
Yeah, I usually come in like a freight train and be like, whew, my part's done. It's fun. Like, I'm going from the main car all the way to the caboose. And it's on you. Meet me back there when you're done. Like, we'll have, celebratory orange juice or something.
But that's the good part of working with a team of people who will get you to the place that you need to be in. And not only that, but that's the exciting part when the book starts to take place of who it is and how it's going to be delivered. And hopefully it's delivered as their vision was, constructed. So we can get it from idea to book.
Yeah, I think one of the really important things to talk about is there's a lot that happens in that time. People send it, and our first question is always like, well, when do you want to publish this? And we may get it in March, and they're like, April 15th. We're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. One, we got to put first eyes on it before we ever take it to our editors and be like, hey, here's, our editors are great at what they do, but they have their own genres that they do. You know what I'm saying? So
it's a process
you got
for
three
sure.
sci-fi. Yeah, you got 3 sci-fi books. There's a stacking order. Like, okay, you got 2 ahead of you. It's just like being at the grocery store. Like, you got 3 ahead of you in line, and when you get there, you get there. But that also brings up another point. I think one of the hardest discussions to have with people is editing.
Yes.
And
well, let's talk about feedback.
Like, let's talk about the
Sure.
editing first. And I don't really know how to say this in a nice way, but please, whenever you are doing a book, make sure you have an actual editor. Not self-editing, not ChatGPT, not Word suggesting what you should put here, like an actual editor. And I want to be real about this. It's not cheap to do a book.
No, it's an investment.
It isn't. It's an investment in yourself, right? It's an investment in yourself. I know, like, I dropped a lot of money to do my first book. And then, like, I was like, well, we need our own publishing company because we don't cut some of that cost down and do it ourselves. But one of the biggest investments I had was editing. And I tell people, when you are thinking about doing a book, make sure that you budget money so that you can get some professional editing. And go with someone who has an editing team. Right? Because here's the thing, when you self-edit, which I never, ever, ever agree for people to do that. And here's why. You're writing the book, you know what you wanted to say, therefore you'll read it as you want it to say. And this happened to me for my book. I mean, we talked about it last season. I didn't handle editing feedback well, and I'm a writer, and we own a publishing company. Like, it's just like, I didn't take it well. And I told them, it's on page 69, paragraph 4, line 7. And they're like, I don't know what you think you wrote, but it's not there. And literally, they sent me pictures, and I'm like, I was positive it was there, and it wasn't. But I knew that it should have been there. Therefore, I read it like it was there, and it ended up not being an important part of the story, so it wasn't there. But the thing is, I think people need to shift their mind about editing, Keisha, because everyone always looks at the cost of editing. And it is the most expensive part of your book.
As it should be.
I mean, editing, you're in thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's thousands of dollars. I mean, you can get some people $500, but you're not going to get it less for $500.
No.
And if you do, I'd be asking for references. I really would. I mean that truthfully. I'm not being mean, not being snarky. Ask for references because I know what it takes to edit books because I do it. It's a lot of money. But here's how I think people should look at it. You are writing a book, and you want that book to come out. You want the best version of your book to come out, right?
Absolutely.
You want it to be the best that you've got, the best that people can make it. Editors make that happen. And I use this as pretty graphic, but this is how I use it. When I write, I puke the stuff up onto paper. Right? I don't actually puke it, but I just throw it out there. Like, however I write it, I write it. I don't edit when I write. I don't do that. I write it all as I see it. I construct it into the chapters I think it should go to, and then I send it to my editors to clean it up. That's what they do. They're like the cleanup crew, right? They go in, they're like, well, you took 35 words to say this. And it's almost like, remember that show on TV, Name That Tune? I can name that tune in 5 notes. Right? Like, editors are like, I can do that sentence in 7 words when you had 35. And it means the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where I think people freak out, Keisha. They think that their voice is going to get lost during the editing process. We hear it all. My voice has to stay consistent. It's still going to be your voice, but the English language, what you take 35, they can probably put into 7 words and it means the exact same thing, right? It's just that way. They're good at what they do. So it's one of the questions we ask. How comfortable are you with editing? How much are you willing to spend on editing? Because we have set price for editing.
Yes.
Right, Keisha?
It's not optional.
It's set price. We don't deviate from that price.
That's the price.
It's not cheap. Right. That's a price, and it's not cheap. It shouldn't be cheap.
No.
It's so important to have your stuff edited because it really does affect how people view you as a writer and what you do. If you want to be taken seriously, then have the editing done.
Well, nothing's worse than opening a book and there's grammatical errors,
right?
Knowing that it wasn't edited professionally, and or for people who use a lot of street slang,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
and I know that's your
Designer,
pet
man.
peeve.
I
Yeah.
can't stand slamming the book.
That's me.
I don't like it. I don't like it. Yeah, and you know, like when it's not edited, like the character's John in chapter 1 and chapter 3 he's Greg, and you're like, who's this
Who's
Greg
that?
guy? And why is
Yeah.
he so much like John? You're like, wait, is this the same person? Like, okay, it's not edited. And then, like for me, at that point, it's fan fiction for me.
Right. Well, and it's funny how people want to tell their story, but then they don't want to tell all the story, because if they tell all the story and it's true and they figure the other person figures it out, they're going to know it's about them. So,
Yeah,
you know, we
yeah.
have a lot of those questions when they write the book.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. I think that's something to cover because we're going to do the serious stuff. Then we're going to go into some funny stories that we've had from our writer life. But you have to realize that when you're writing your own story, you have two choices, fiction or nonfiction. Like you're going to want to fall in the one or the other, right? Nonfiction, there are legal liabilities to nonfiction, right? If someone
Right.
can prove that you wrote that about them and you wrote it in not so nice of a way, they can sue you over that. You know, it's on, at that point, it's on, the burden of proof is on you, right?
Right.
And then you have fiction, you know, you can tell your story, your life story in fiction. We've seen it done. We've worked with people that
Yes.
are writing there that way. And really, it lets you expand on things, right? You can change up the spaces and all that. So you don't, and if someone's like, oh, I'm pretty sure they wrote that about me, and they see you, the burden of proof is on them. They have to prove that that's who you wrote about, right?
Absolutely.
You know, there wasn't any legal liabilities, but we ran into this with my first book, Letters to My Father. You know, my
Mhm.
publisher called and said, I'm going to need a release from all these people that you wrote about. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, all these letters. And I was like, I made all those up. They're like, wait, what? I was like, there's no actual person. I'm like, I made all those up. It was all out of my mind. There are no letters given from anybody. It's just I made them up. But that's a good publisher asking you that. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to need some release letters because it's you know it's where they've done their due diligence. So that's what I wanted to say on that, Keisha, because I think people need to understand that.
Yeah. And the burden of, well, the documentation never lies, number one.
Exactly.
It's always the burden of proof. And number two, you've got to understand there's legal consequences to writing a book, right?
Yes.
And so, and burden of facts, right, are for us to prove. So, you know, us as publishers. So there is a lot of questioning that goes through it and to the people who are writing the books to understand and have the capacity to guide and direct them through whatever genre they're writing in.
Absolutely. And here's one caveat I'll give to people that are writing a book. When you are writing your book, whatever genre you're writing in, do not read anything in that genre. Don't watch anything in that genre. Don't Google anything about that genre. Because here's what happens. It sinks into your mind and it's going to come out somewhere in your book. Right?
You know, influence you in some way.
It'll influence you, and then you may just start putting this in. It's not that you mean to do it. Sometimes you don't realize you're doing it, and you're like, "Oh, wait, that was a scene from like Lord of the Rings," and then you're like, "Are you watching fantasy or sci-fi?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I watch it every day." It's like, no, you need to stop and rewrite because you just can't do it. And I know because Keisha and I, we've written books, and we're like. And people ask us all the time to read their books, and we're like, as much as I'd like to, we're currently writing a book in that genre, and we can't read that. Can't read it, can't do it because we don't want it to influence us in any way. Because the last thing you want to do is put your book out, and you don't even realize you've done it, and put someone else's in there, and now you're in a big legal battle. Your poo-poo is in hot water, that's for sure. And that's not a place you want to be because you're held over the frying pan. It's very, very serious. I wish people would understand how serious it really is to do that. And you certainly don't take someone's book and put it in AI for them to change a character name and then you release the same book out. Like, if you are writing a book, write the book, right? Write the book, do the work, write the book, and then have editors and stuff help you. Because
You know how I feel about AI writing books. So
we are not shy about that with Google.
I am not shy about that. And here's the other part in that. I think it's good for information and structure. I don't
Sure.
think it's good for writing books because it does not have an emotional content or
Mhm.
character or diplomatic leg to stand on. And
Right.
by the time somebody is going to have this happen, and it will happen eventually, it has just probably not been prosecuted yet at this time. But it will happen, and it will be, just like copyrights on music. It'll be so close to somebody else's, and somebody else will have the manuscript, and you will not because you used AI.
Right.
So
It learns from what you feed it.
yes,
Right?
it is.
learns
It
from
is,
what you feed it.
and we're a product of our environment. So I just want to stress that point. I also want to stress the point that there's probably nothing we haven't seen before.
Or excuse
A
we've
lot
heard.
of different things, a lot of different scenarios, and we have creative enough people in our publishing company that can put you in the right direction, help you with a
Absolutely.
rewrite, get you some point of references from other books, those kinds of things. So I feel like we're very well rounded
Yeah.
and resourceful. And that's really what I want to say about our company that separates us from the other people.
Yeah, I mean,
Additionally,
we took the time to be like, when we wrote our books, what were we missing at the time? If you're not sure, you're just putting stuff on paper, there's a good chance you're probably going to need a writing coach.
yes.
We have one of those. You need editors. We have a whole team. You have no idea how to do a book cover. We have people that do.
Yes.
We have you from the idea, and then we go further. Like most people stop at where you publish the book, and we alluded to this last season on one of our episodes, but Keisha have experienced this. So you publish the book, and you're like, what do I do now? Because here's the thing I know: authors don't like to market their own books, right? The marketing, most authors will tell you the marketing is harder than writing the book. And we
Yes.
know how difficult it is to write a book. It's not an easy thing to do. That's why, most people don't stay with it.
hmm
But marketing it is a whole nother area. You know what? We have that too. We have people that do that. We have publicists. We tried to come at it when we formed our company of what were we missing? What are all the people asking us for? And who can we get to bring on to do that stuff?
Mhm.
And so we did that. We always say we're a one-stop shop, and if you have an excuse, we've probably already experienced it, right?
Yes, boy, isn't that the truth? And here's what I'm going to say that I'm so proud of our company because of. I'm so proud of our company because we have a diversity. I'm so proud of our company because we have people who have experienced a lot of things. And that experience goes a long way when you're trying to help somebody through burden,
Right.
grief, stress, or trauma. We have experienced those things and written books about those things. So I think that's our experience speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that is the creative part, right?
Yeah.
We have such creative people on our team that are really good at developing a story,
Mhm.
developing a hook, any of those things, characters, timing, a million things. You can think of a million things.
Right.
And I love that about our creative team. But
Yes.
what I'm going to say most importantly is the fact that we can get it from creative to on the paper, read by many people who have read it, and everybody has a different opinion of it, and then collectively draw the conclusion and put it back on paper and get it published. And I love that about our team.
Yeah, and we're pretty upfront with people. We're like, if you have a quick turnaround that you need that done for, we're probably not your people.
Yeah. Because we're
Yeah,
about
we-
quality.
Right. We have an expectation of quality, and we hold to that. Like, you're like, yeah, I want it in 3 months, and we're like, it needs a full rewrite. You're looking at least 6 minimum. You think it's great until it hits the editors, and they're like, whoa, we need some work here. Like, like is what my editor said. I'm like, this is fabulous. We're ready to print. They're like, yeah, no. Think again. And and you wanted to talk about this earlier, and I kind of went a different segue, but feedback.
Yeah, feedback.
That's also a place for the writer's life. Like, man, you got to be able to take feedback. And
you got to have thick skin.
sometimes it's not good feedback.
Yeah. Well, like anything in feedback, we know in personal development, it either lands or it does not. And if it does not land, it should give you plenty of food for thought and
Right.
reflection to see why it doesn't land for you.
Yeah.
And then if it does land and you have to move on, great for you. But do your due diligence also.
Sure. And when you get comments back from the editor, you got to remember, like, they're doing their job. They should have comments on your work. But, if you're like, no, that absolutely has to stay, because I ran into this with my book. They wanted me to delete a portion, and I was like, absolutely not. I'm not deleting that. I'm open to rewriting it in a way that it still says the same thing, but I'm not deleting it, period. Because to me, that's a big point in the book. And they couldn't really see it till we were further down the road, and then it all kind of tied together. But you have to know, it's your story. You're still in control of it. But if you can't handle feedback, you're probably not going to make it past the first draft.
Yeah.
And
we've worked with a lot of people who really were like digging in, like,
Yep.
It has to be this. Well, great. That's your story. But when a reader reads it, they don't hear the same thing you're saying.
right.
So it does not make sense from this perspective, not your perspective, but this
Right.
perspective. And
And
so
I think some of it too is timing. Like they
Yes.
know a rewrite means you have more time invested, and you got to re-go to places you may not want to go. But
Yeah.
in the end, you got to remember you want the best version of your book to go out there,
Mhm.
and that's what
And
you
it's
want.
so
And that's-
true
Yeah.
that you get that best version when you go back and sit in it for a little while.
Absolutely.
And we've experienced that with other authors,
Yeah.
and not especially first time authors, because they don't know what to expect, and it makes
Right.
it so much harder. And then I know what it was for me for my book, because I was like, I thought it'd be a lot easier. I was like, girl, I thought it would be a lot easier than this. And you're like, no.
I was pretty
Buckle up.
brutal. I was pretty brutal when it came
Yeah,
to Keisha's.
you were.
I know what her expectation is of her,
Mhm.
not only herself, but what she puts out. And I'm like, it's not there. It's no. It's a no. I mean, when they get these
Yeah.
words, it
You're
needs
like,
to be
yeah.
better.
No, you got to tell the whole story, not part of the story. You got to tell the whole story.
You gotta tell the whole story. If you need me to help you figure how to say things, I can help you do that. But you need a whole story. This is like the Cliff Notes version, right?
Yeah.
Like we all know what Cliff Notes are. We've used them, right? And you can't have that. Like you want the best version of it, because here's what happens. And okay, Keisha, I want to take this into a fun way. So before we
Okay.
go there, you have any other serious points we want to hit on before we take this in a fun
Well,
way?
yeah, I do have some serious points I want to hit
Okay.
on, because with our company, even if you didn't write your book with our company, we will still do a Google review for your book.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that are important and still part of we will still help you with your own marketing with your book. We have a digital marketing group that's willing to help you with this as well. We also can help you with your tablescape and for your conference room for the table. Like if you're going to a book signing, how to set it up. We have all the information and things that we can help you formulate what your brand is going to look like on the table and how it's going to be set up and all those kinds of things. And things for not just now, but maybe in 6 months from now, as your brand grows and your book really gets to be exposed and you get to be doing bigger things. So
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
important.
say,
I want to interject here real quick. That's important that you brand yourself, because you got to think, if you're writing sci-fi and you go to a sci-fi convention, there could be 500 other sci-fi authors there. What is going to make you stand out from them other 499? And what
Or
is it?
2D2.
Right. Oh, that's a funny story. She was just like, I turned her
Yeah.
loose in them and couldn't find her for hours because I was like, I was like a little kid in the candy store.
Yeah. So I can always find Chrissy somewhere near Star Wars.
Right.
So,
any Star Wars, I'm like, see you in a couple hours. Like,
Yes,
I'm on
yes.
the hunt.
That's
Um,
right.
so that's one of the things that I think that's really important. Not only that, but the digital things that goes with it that needs to go along with your book. A logo,
Mhm.
stickers. Whether you're doing an iPad, you could have your iPad cover branded like your book.
Right.
You know, there's so many things, pens and pencils. So
Yeah,
many
and
things.
listen, we saw at that one convention where the lady had luggage wraps printed. with
Yes,
book
about her
covers on.
book.
And I was
Wow.
like, well, where did you have that happen at? Because that's pretty fantastic. I mean, not that I want to cover my Chewbacca luggage, but I would think about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of, but there's a lot of branding that goes with it.
Yep.
And remember the lady who did the earring books, and then
Oh, yeah.
also the little bookshelves with the little mini books on it with all of her
Yeah.
books.
And then the lady that had the tea bag
Yes,
holders, that the tea bag was actually inside of the little book. And she
Yes.
did the full book, not just the front of the book, but she had the back cover too. And she folded it to where the inside held the tea bag. I was like, all right, now we all know I love tea. I was
Yes.
like, this is legit right here, buddy.
yes. But I want to share. Not only are you writing a book, but as an author, your life will change.
Oh, absolutely.
And you will get other opportunities, but you have to know what the vision is for your book.
Yeah.
You know, do you just want it to be a book and you want it? I know everybody wants to be on the Amazon bestseller
Or the New York Times bestseller.
or the New York Times, but every book is not meant for that. But it's meant for someone,
Mhm.
and their story is going to be able to help somebody grow or learn from or
Yeah.
actually inspire somebody else to courageously write a book. And
Yeah, I'm glad you talked about this, Keisha, because I think we need to really interject something here. You have to know what success means to you
yes,
when you're writing, because I know I hear this a lot, and we hear it a lot in our company. People's version of success is I have to be on the bestseller list.
not mine
Seriously,
at all.
why are you writing a book? I want to make money and be on the bestseller list. I said those are two things that should never influence you writing a book. Because here's what I know. And they're just like flabbergasted. They're like, well, why wouldn't you want that? One, don't ever write a book for money because you don't have any impact behind it. Write it for impact. It'll make you stay in the story longer, right?
Mhm.
Now, as far as the bestseller list, this is the best example I'm going to give you. I published my first book, Letters to My Father. It published in 2019. You know, we had all the signings and all that locked in, and then the world shut down, right? Shut down. Nothing you knew about that. There's nowhere for you to go promote. I mean, that's where they've, TikTok books and everything started. But you have to know success because that was very detrimental to authors' minds, right? Because you're used to the grind. You got to get out there. You got to get out there. And a lot of people are like, if I don't get on that list, my book is a failure. I don't agree with that statement for the simple fact that, like I said, I published in 2019. I didn't, my book didn't do a whole lot. But here's what happened. Yes, I've sold copies of my book. I mean, we're probably in the thousands now. But my book is not a bestseller anywhere. It's not an Amazon bestseller. It wasn't on the New York Times list. It wasn't on any of the book lists that everybody wants to get on. But here's what happened with my book. Not a bestseller anywhere, right?
Right.
Except I had a screenwriter through a conversation that we were talking about something else. He asked about, do you have a book? And I said, yes. And he said, tell me about it. And then what happened was my book, screenwriters were like, yeah, we want this project. It's adapted for television, right? Still not a bestseller anywhere. And, that usually doesn't happen unless your book is doing really well. And that's why I say, don't ever judge the success of your book by making or not making a bestseller list, because it doesn't have to do that to make an impact. I wrote a book to make an impact, it is making that impact.
Yes.
And then the next natural step for me, anytime I write a book, I'm always thinking, yep, it can go to movie, it can go to television, it can go straight to streaming. I can build an app off of it. You know, it's not just a book for me. At one time it was, and my spiritual counselor that I talked about before, he said, listen, you view this book as a door when it's just really a knob. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I'm thinking like this little knob, whatever. And you know, I got to process things through my brain. And he said, it is a knob that God is going to use to open a door, which segues beautifully into where you were going to go with your next things.
Yeah.
And then we attended a conference in Georgia. It was in Georgia, right, Keisha?
Yep.
Yeah.
Atlanta. Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, Georgia, where the lady talked about how do you leverage your book. And I was like, oh, snap. Here we go. And so that's what we learned. That's what he was saying. Like the book God will use that to open doors, and you would not ever think your book would get you into those doors. But it certainly has. And, you know, I want to say one thing. The writer's life can be very lonely.
Yes.
You have to be prepared for that. Because sometimes you gotta, you know, you gotta be in some other room, some building, some library, and you know the books on the shelf because you're staring at them all the time because they're writing all the time. But it can be a very lonely life. And there's a lot, it can really test your self-confidence. But, you know, stick with it because, and now we're going to get to the fun part, Keisha, because I feel like you always need to get to the fun part when you're talking about the writer's life.
Sure.
And Keisha and I, we have, I mean, this would be like 5 hours long if we talked about everything that happened. But when we talk about leveraging a book, you know, we still leverage that book. In opportunities. Like it still opens doors. And what, 7 years later, it's still opening doors, the very first book. Now I've written books since then, but I'm one that I like. Now, in my personal life, I'm all about boundaries. Personal life and business, right? I'm all about boundaries. You don't move boundaries. But when it comes to writing, I like to push the boundary of a genre. Right? Keisha will tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see how far that boundary can go. And here's why. Because I think you can really bring something different to the genre if you write it in the way that's presentable. Like a lot of people know me. They know that a lot of my books have faith in them. Mm-hmm. You know, faith is a big thing with Keisha and I. We write about it. We talk about it.
We live it.
I said,
walking in mustard faith.
Right. Keisha has mustard seeds she wears all the time. But I told her, like, I'm going to enter the comic world and I'm going to bring faith in there. And I'm going to talk about trauma. Right? Right. And people are like, what are you doing?
Oh, keep that up, please. Okay.
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to push the boundary of this genre. I'm going to do it. You say I can't do it, challenge accepted. You know, I'm all about taking on a challenge, right? And so I did. But that's the thing. Now, that book, when we talk about leveraging a book,
woo, fire.
Keep that up too.
Right. You know, here's what happened. I wrote the book. I worked with the illustrator. I got it published. Well, really, we published it ourselves. And here's what I did differently. You know, people publish their book and they're like, I got to be on Amazon. I got to be on Barnes and Nobles. I got to be here. I got to be there. I got to be here. I got to be there. And I told Keisha, I'm really going to do it with this book. And you're going to laugh at this time. The only place you can find that book is on our website. You can't find it at Amazon. You cannot find it at Barnes and Noble. You can't find it in a comic shop.
Wow.
Can't do that. Because
But it's already traveled all over the world. I can tell you that.
Wow.
All over the world. And here's why. Because if all those other places shut down, you can still get your book from me on my website.
True.
All my books, Keisha's books, they're on our website. Our published authors, we host on our own website as well. Mm-hmm. Because if they all shut down, and here's the other difference. You know how you can get an autographed copy? You can only get it from me.
Really?
You can only get it from me.
Oh, I'll be darned.
If you buy one from Amazon and you want me to autograph it, you're going to pay for my autograph. because here's the reason. Anybody can go to these online books and they can buy your book there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want an autographed copy, they better be getting it from you.
Yeah.
That's how you leverage your autographed copies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. What do people if you're at a baseball game, they love catching the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But they want it autographed.
They want it autographed. Why do they want that? Because they know, okay, this ball can be,
Yeah.
auctioned off for, I might get $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you what, biggest name in baseball, Shohei Ohtani, right?
Mm-hmm.
I catch one of his homers, you better figure out I'm going to find that guy in that stadium somewhere or ask them, hey, I want to get this autograph. Because that $1 million, you can fetch $1 billion with his. I mean, it's unheard of what his stuff does. It's crazy. Wonderful guy, very humble, but it's worth more with a signature on it. Because here's what
Absolutely.
happens, and you see this all the time. You have an artist, they sign their stuff, and then they pass away.
Well, as a matter of fact, I have a brand item,
Right there.
and I took the said item, my high-tech watch, to a conference with all of my other items. As a matter of fact, this is my own personal case for my headphones that I wear on the podcast.
Our podcast headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Our podcast inspired headphones, and then I also have them autographed by the owner of these Astrum headphones. And so I love that. Not only do I have this brand item, every brand piece I have them autographed, but I also have, again, every single piece is autographed.
You should have saw it, Ty. Like, so he is, at this conference, right? And he's signing, taking pictures with people, and people are looking at Keisha and I because we're just standing there holding our products, right? We're like, we got
We're the only ones holding product.
And we thought this out in advance. Like, okay, we have our books, we have this, and we go out and we're like, Keisha, Chrissy, love seeing you again. Can you sign our stuff?
Oh, wow.
And he's like, sure, no problem. He signed it, and everyone in the crowd is just like, why didn't I think of that?
Right.
Right? Why didn't I think of that? So, and we got other things too. We took stuff that we know we were going to put in baskets for giveaways because
Mm-hmm.
at that time we were working a lot with foundations, and one in particular, we knew we were going to an event for, and we're like, you know what? We're going to put these earbuds, because we had another set past hers, and we said, we're going to have this sign, we're going to put it in this basket, right? And then we're going to have some publishing stuff in there. And so we're out cutting it up on the dance floor, right? Keisha and I, we're just jamming away. And all of a sudden, like, this guy appears next to us, and we're just like, hey, Chrissy and Keisha. We're just like, I don't know why he's here. And he's like, yeah, I won your basket. I said, oh, that's great. I said, oh, just so you know, the earbuds you have in there are signed by this artist. He's like, yeah, I noticed it. And she wanted the earbuds. And I was like, this is a signed box, and we're just probably going to have to buy you another set of earbuds because
Yeah.
this is a signed box. And he's like, do you know this? We're like, well, yeah, we know this person, right? We know who the person is. And we're not going to tell you who it was. But we had this. And so we used it. And he loved everything in the basket. Like, he's writing a book. But he's like, I can't get over that I have these earbuds.
Wow.
And so we did that.
And that's the power. But
Right.
that is the power of leverage. And not only have we used that for opportunities for our business and to pay it forward, it is so important. I went to a real estate conference last week, and I met an author. Each one of the guys who spoke were authors. And so we were getting ready to take a photo opportunity. I was like, wait a minute, where's your book? So he was like, hold on. So he gets his book, and I'm holding it up because I was like, I'm the publisher. I'm the publicist. I make sure every single person's holding a book, And he was like, yeah, good thinking. He goes, that's going to remind me. He said, when it's done, when this is over, I said, do you have a photographer here or somebody else who can do it? He goes, no, but I'm going to ask that guy right there if I can pay him, if he'll just take pictures for me. And I was like, yes. You absolutely have to do that. And it's so important that you do. That talks about how much you've invested in your book. and you're building relationships with more people who are buying your book. And as you sign them and they leave and talk about your book to other people, because here's the thing, 90% of our books are sold through referrals. Somebody calls and asks about our book and go, hey, how can I use your book for this? Or hey, I want to, you're going to be a speaker at my event. I would love to have some books on hand. Can you give me some books? It's all of those things, and they're leverage. It's all leverage.
Right. And here's how crazy it can get. So we always carry books. It don't matter where we're going. And usually we have like the clear bags that you can see the book in. So we're in Florida last year, and we go to an event for an organization that works with veterans, right? And we're powwowing it up. I don't mind those events. Like, how we talk about networking. I don't mind those events. And then all of a sudden, these people just come up and this lady started talking to us, and she was talking about that, and she just happened to look down, and she's like, "Oh, what's that?" I said, "Oh, that's a comic I wrote that deals with what you're talking about." And she's like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." And so I noticed she was going around with earrings, right? I was like, "Oh man, I'm a big earring person. Hard to wear with headphones because they press on the ears." But I told Keisha, I was like, "Wonder what kind of earrings she's selling." Like right away, Keisha was like,
"They were handmade earrings." Yeah,
she's like, "Here she goes." Like, because I debated the whole time, like, do I take my wallet? Don't I take the wallet? Usually one of us takes the wallet and one doesn't. So I'm like, yeah. And I'm watching this lady like all around, like my eyes are just like following her, like, where is she with the earrings? Where is she with the earrings? And she came around, and I said, I'll trade you the comic book for a pair of earrings. What do you got left?
Oh, wow.
Because I'm like, what do you got left? And because I like weird earrings. I mean, we've seen them, I've seen them in my past episodes. And she had these alien earrings, right? And I was like, that's my jam right there. Like, I'll take the earrings. And I gave her the book, and then we ate, and we're doing others. And when we went to leave, she's like, we love your comic. Like, they read it right there. It's like,
oh, wow.
It's not a long read. I mean, it's a comic book. It's like, what, 20-some pages? And she said, I have 3 people I know I can give this to help them because they're going through this kind of situation. And I told Keisha, I never wrote the comic book for mass production. I wrote it so it's a conversation starter. It's an easy leeway into a very difficult conversation that you have with people. And I told her, we were walking and I never wear the right shoes to events, and Keisha's feels like 40 blocks ahead of me, and I'm struggling in my shoes. And I was like, can't I just take them off? But it was raining, so I couldn't do that. And I told her, I said, man, it's a whole different thing when you go somewhere and realize that the reason you wrote your book is actually happening.
Yeah.
Conversations.
So impactful. It was so impactful. And not only that, but then we spent a whole year talking about it to so many different organizations and educating people. And, I feel so lucky that we get to.
Right.
I know, even though my sister, my mom, and my father have all passed, it is still a wonderful gift to get to tell their story. And I don't care how hard it gets. Some days it's harder than others. Some days I get all choked up. Some days it rolls off my tongue really easy. And I feel very proud that I get to tell the story. But more importantly, I get to relate to people who've walked through the same experience that I have. And I may not be at a better place than they are. They may be at a better place than I am. But I know I have worked my way through this journey of grief, of sorrow, of being alone. I stand alone, and sometimes that's difficult in my family because I am the sole survivor of my family. I do have my grown children and grandchildren, but it's not this. I don't get to pick up the phone and call my parents.
Right.
I don't get to call my, I don't get to. But what I do get is lovely people who surround me and lift me every day and help me get through these hard times, in the holidays and big times of moments where it is so overcoming.
Mm-hmm.
And it is because it comes in waves.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it hits out of the blue. It could be a song, it could be the season, it could be, something, my sister loved baseball.
Yeah.
Is it something that I enjoyed? No. But it's something
No, but she
enjoyed.
did watch the World Series when the
Yes, she
Dodgers
did.
won.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good.
So, it's just a lot of things that brings up memories, just like songs do,
Yeah.
or emotions do, or any of those things. But that's how we get through.
Yeah, and I chuckle because I look at my mom and I'm like, she's become a surrogate mom to all my friends whose moms
Mhm.
have passed away. And they all call her mom and she calls them her kids. And it don't matter how old you are. To my mom, you're her kid.
That's awesome.
I'm still her little, I'm 51 and I'm still her little girl.
Mhm.
I'm older than my sister about 3 minutes because we're twins. But, and it's just funny how that works out. Like she's just a surrogate mom. But, Keisha, I want to tell some funny stories. I
Okay.
think, we've covered all this serious stuff and we talked about that. So when I was on the book tour, the book circuit I call it, where you're doing the vendor shows and all that. And I had to come off of that after I broke my back, but it was so funny because I'm trying to decide I'm going to go in this room and everyone is going to have a black tablecloth. Everyone's going to have a banner. And I'm like, man, how do I distinguish myself, right? And so sometimes I don't tell anybody what I'm doing. I just do it, right? I'm going to do it. So
Yep.
I called Keisha up one day and I was like, hey. She's like, what? I was like, man, you're not going to believe what I got. And, it's like a deep sigh from Keisha when I say that because I'm so all over the place. It could be this fantastic.
I never know
pen
where
or
she's coming
I
from.
got some new techie thing or, custom Chuck Taylor Converse shoes. And that was one of the things I told her about. I had them done in hot pink glitter.
Oh, cool.
And so, yeah, they're Chuck Taylor. And man, them things are heavy. But
And you have a
they're
matching
good.
purse.
Yeah, I
No.
got a matching matching
Oh,
bag,
my.
right? And so, you got a little part, right? And so I called her and I said, yeah, I got a show this weekend. And guess what I got? And she's just like, what? I said, man, I got me a hot pink table cover. Like, what? I was like, yeah, because here's what I know. When you walk in a room and there's color, you have black, white, and then you have color, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your eyes are instantly drawn to the color, right? Because you're like, whoa, that stands out.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I said, ain't gonna be nobody here with hot pink on the tablecloth. And if they are, I'm gonna have to see what their brand is like, see if it is mine. And so I went to the show and so then I got the tablecloth and then it started getting a little dingy and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna get me a black tablecloth. But then I got like a hot pink rosette cover that goes over the table, right? And I was like, ain't nobody gonna have one of these because it took me 3.5 weeks to get this thing, right? So I show up at this show and I'm putting my cover on. And the organizer comes over and she says, oh, did you switch to a black cover? I said, yeah, I did. And she's like, really? Everybody has black. I said, well, I'm not done yet. But I just got the cover on the table. I got a lot more things. And then I opened my bag and I pulled out this hot pink rosette cover and she just went, all right. And I was like, yeah. And what happened was people were just drawn to my table. Like I had a lot of table flow, what I wasn't the genre they were looking for. But when I asked her, like, man, when we walked in, we instantly saw the pink and we're like,
Mhm.
wonder what's going on over there. It looks so different. And, it could be anything. It could be a romance novel or sci-fi or whatever. But I told Keisha, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you have to have something different.
Mhm.
Play yourself apart. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my sign-up list was huge because people, signed up. I had a lot of traffic flow. Like I said, I told Keisha, I was like, well, most people wouldn't think it's a successful show if one person buys your book in like 4.5 hours, right? But my sign-in sheet was 2.5 pages long.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yeah, look, I got all these people. And this was before we became publishers and started helping people write their books. But it's always funny. Like, I always chuckle when I go in a room and Keisha watches me. Like, I do this in a room. I look all around and I'm looking for color. I'm looking for color or something so far out there that I'm like, and, Keisha, she's more like a straight line person. She starts at table 1 and she works herself around and follows like the table. And I'm like, a rabbit stuck in a box, like boom, 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 boom. No, you know what it is? It's like I'm in a pinball machine.
Mhm.
I was like, and then you got the flippers that show me back up. That's me at a book show because I'm like, ooh,
Right. That's why I can meet
Yep.
70 people and she can meet 3.
I'm
Yep.
crazy.
Yep, that's
Like I was at a table at a show. We went to support one of our friends who was taking part in the show, and we're like, okay, here's the plan. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stick to the plan this time. I told her I'm gonna stick to the plan, Keisha. I'm gonna stick to the plan.
Never.
And so we were together for the first 2 tables, and then I got at a fascinating table, and like Keisha's off doing her thing on her trip around, which was what, like 25 minutes, Keisha? I'm still at the same table. She goes, oh, did you make your way back to this table? And I went, yeah, the plane kind of died when I got here, but man,
Yep.
look at all this stuff she has here. Look at these books. And Keisha's just like, she just shakes her head and moves on. She's like, it's a lost cause at this point.
Yeah.
I know how she's going to be. But it's funny because it just shows like I'm still drawn to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, still drawn to that. And it's just so funny that sometimes like the drives to get to where we're going is just like, what are we doing?
Let me tell you this one story. We were on our way to Tampa from Pensacola, and Chrissy was writing this scene, and she went into great detail. And we were passing like almost to Ocala,
Mhm.
and I looked at her and I said, "Did you hit record?"
what?
We had been creating this book the entire way from Pensacola almost to Tampa. We got to Ocala, which is closest to Tampa. And I asked her, I said, we were getting ready to stop at a gas station. And I said, you hit record, right?
You didn't, did you?
No,
You did not.
I looked down and I went, well, I can't say it because we'd have to censor, but you can imagine
Yeah.
what the words were.
I can censor.
You know, holy trucker, but it wasn't that. And I was like, ow. And so then I was like, oh my gosh, what a rookie mistake, right? Total rookie mistake because it was fabulous.
Oh, I
It was
bet.
fabulous.
And she's like, you think you're going to remember? I'm like, yeah, I can remember. I can remember it. So on the way home, I was like, okay, we're going to do this. I hit the record. I
Awesome.
couldn't remember anything. I was like, well, guess I'm going to have to rewrite
Yep.
that book. I'm still writing that book, by the way. But I was just
God.
like, I mean, you're talking hours. I
Hours.
ran out of, I'd had to have like 4 or 5 voice notes at that time.
Oh my.
I was just devastated. And then I have to get ready for this event. And the whole time I'm just like, I want to slap myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to slap myself. But it just goes to show that even being experienced,
Yep, something I do.
you can still make rookie mistakes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I always make sure to tell people if they do it on voice recorder, make sure that they're starting with clean tape and they can really get through the entire situation before they hit stop, because you don't want to get 2 or 3 words and that's all you have. So
I was just thinking about it. Just makes my stomach drop still. And I mean,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
Years
oh,
out.
she was so mad. I couldn't even look at her because I couldn't keep from laughing.
I
And
just-
I was like, I looked over at her. I was like, you hit record, right? And I was dead
Oh.
serious. Because I was
And I
like,
just looked at her and my face said it all. And
Oh,
I was mad. I wasn't mad at Keisha.
right.
I was mad. Like, I had to roll the window down and, be like a dog on a trip, hang my head out the window.
Yeah.
Because if I was crying, I wanted the tears to go that way.
Yeah.
On my face. But just to calm down, because I was like, I cannot believe I did that.
Oh, yeah, you get
Coach
worked
people
up.
not to make that mistake.
oh, it was so in depth too.
Oh, I
So
mean-
in depth.
I had it
Mm.
down to what they were wearing, the shoes they had on, where the scene was, what what it should look like, and I was just like,
Oh my goodness.
So descriptive. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was.
it's crazy. And then here's a funny one, Keisha. See if you remember this. We were traveling by air to somewhere that we had to take a lot of books with us, right? And there's 2 ways to pack things. There's Keisha's way to pack things, wherein she, takes just what is needed, and she can get it all in one suitcase and still be under the weight limit. That was
Mm.
Chrissy.
Yep.
Oh Lord!
If we're
I
going
know
for
what you're
5
talking
days,
about.
I'm packing for 20.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm packing for 20. I'm like, yeah, but if it's cold, I'm gonna wear this. If it's semi-warm, I'm gonna wear this.
We're
Then-
sitting in the airport
I gotta
unpacking the suitcases.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. And on top of that, I also have a suitcase of books. Now, mind you, when you take suitcases, it can only be 50 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Can't get a lot of books in a suitcase for 50 pounds.
No.
But you think like you lift up, you're like, oh, this is probably like 42. And you get up there, like 87, and you're like, what? I told Keisha,
True story.
Get
So
over
let me
here.
tell you this: how much we spent in luggage just leaving.
Oh my gosh.
$300 in luggage.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
$100 a pop. Even if you're at 51, it's $100.
Jeez.
I was
Nothing we
like,
could do because there was no place to put it.
well, by that point, you're already, you're not even to where you could buy luggage.
Yeah.
Right? like, and you got to go through TSA yet. So you can't come back.
No.
You can't get it through TSA because you already know it's got to go on the plane. And
Exactly.
So you really have no choice but to pay all these ridiculous fees.
Oh,
And, I'm like, I'm an author. Just coming from a show. They're like, we don't care what you're doing.
right.
It's 87 pounds. And I'm pretty sure that one's. So I was like, okay. I told Keisha, I think I have room in my other one. So they said, well, we'll take this off and put it over here. And then we'll put your other one over here. And I was like, okay. I told Keisha, man, we're probably like 42, now 59. I was like, I looked at her and I was just like, again.
So here we are sitting on the floor.
Then we have backpacks.
Oh my
And we
gosh.
are unpacking and redistributing the weight between multiple suitcases. And there's a whole line of people behind us.
They're just looking at us like, what is going on with these? We're putting stuff in the backpacks because here's what we know.
Oh.
Jeans weigh 5 pounds, right? So take the jeans out. You can put 3 books in there.
Oh my gosh.
We're trying to redistribute this. And so we're there, we're sweating at this time and we're watching the clock because we're like, we still got to like make the flight
Yeah.
and get through TSA yet. And we're like, yeah, we got it. We get up there and we're like, okay, we have one backpack left. If we're over the weight limit, we have one backpack left.
True
It
story.
barely did anything.
No.
They're like, that'll be $303. And I'm like,
Son of a bitch.
Wow.
son of a biscuit.
So we had to pay
Yeah,
$300 in luggage. And here's the other thing. We didn't even, while we were there, didn't get rid of that many books. So cost us the same to bring it back. And it was international luggage.
Oh my gosh.
We're just like, oh.
No,
So
we did combine luggage on the way back. We did combine
we
luggage.
did combine it,
Yeah, but
on the way
still,
there,
I mean, it was
so
the most
expensive.
expensive trip we've ever taken.
Oh.
On the way back, we got smarter. Like all the jeans went into our backpack.
Mhm.
Shoes went into our, because we have the travel backpacks.
Yeah.
You can fit half a house in. And we're like, yeah. And I get up there, we're still overweight.
Oh my
I
goodness.
was like, Keisha, get over here. And the guy's like, we'll leave those two with no one coming to them so you can put your suitcases there and try to get it out. Now, we were able to redistribute because one was
Yeah.
a few pounds under and one was
Way over.
Not like 35 pounds. You're not going to redistribute that in anything unless you have an empty suitcase.
Yeah.
And so we got it and we're working hard and we get in there and the guy's just chuckling and he's like, I really hope you guys can make it. And I was like, me
We
too.
made it.
'cause Here's what I know. I don't have another $303 to send this back. Like, I just needed to get on the plane, right? So we got up there and I was like, lifted it up and I'm like, I don't know, it feels like maybe 45. You know,
You didn't
it's
tell
like
them the whole best part of the
Oh
story.
yeah.
You didn't tell them the whole. You had clothes over clothes.
I dressed in layers. Like when I knew I was over, I was like, all right, I'll put the sweatpants on over my jeans.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then I
It
was
was
like,
hysterical.
I went up and he's like, now you're still over. I was like, all right. I
So
know
she
I
pulls out a sweater, puts it
before
on.
I can't fit into the airplane seat, right? Like,
You're trying to figure this out, this
I-
puzzle.
I put the sweatsuit on, took my shoes on. I didn't even bother putting my shoes on until I was done, right? I'm like,
True story.
I'm like, look, I could figure out how to put 2 pairs of shoes on each foot. Like, if I have to make it happen, I'll make it happen. I don't know how to do, but I have to make it happen. Right?
I've never heard of such a thing.
I had jeans, because I know jeans weigh so much, I generally
Yeah.
Either I don't travel with jeans or I'll
Mhm.
wear the jeans.
Yeah.
Because it don't matter at that point. So I had jeans and like a t-shirt on because it was hot where we went. Right?
I bet.
I already didn't want to be in jeans.
You should have seen the looks we got going through the airport.
Then like I put the sweatsuit on because I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe 2 pounds right here.
Oh my
And then,
God.
I mean, it was just like a conveyor line. We went up, nope, still ever come back. I was like, oh, what else do I have in here to wear? So then I put the sweater on. Then I put the jacket on, like the little like.
Oh my
You know, like
goodness.
little hoodie
Oh,
jacket.
Yeah.
We had an actual jacket on. So like I'm going through like I'm traveling to Antarctica and I'm in freaking Florida. Like it's hot.
Oh
Here
my
Here I
gosh.
am like walking like this, like I had all these layers on, but I got my luggage in and I didn't have to pay any extra money. I sweat like a banshee on that plane, but I was like, hey, maybe I'll lose 5 pounds.
Oh my
And then
goodness.
we got back and I was like, call the Uber now. Get all our stuff in here because I'm about to strip in this Uber and he's about to make a lot of money. I didn't, like, I only took off the jackets, but I was ready to, like, go down to my skivvies.
Oh, I would've.
it was so funny.
That would have been miserable.
We're getting out of the Uber, like, Keisha's giving luggage, like, I'm like, off comes the sweater, off comes the hoodie, and the Uber driver's just like,
What are you doing back there?
he's just looking like, what is happening? And by the time we got down, I told Keisha, I'm like, I got 2 layers on now. Before you get that door open, I might be down to 0. 'Cause I am so hot. It is. I mean,
But now we have traveling down to a science.
yeah. So now we learned to like we drop ship it to the place.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
But here's the thing: when you drop ship it there, you better make sure you can sell some stuff
Yeah.
because you either
Because
drop
it's expensive.
or you're going to have an airport issue if you're trying to take all your books back. But it just goes to show, like, you still have funny things happen to you when you're there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
still have some humor, like. And the funny thing was, like, I'm like, okay, I gotta wear, and she just laughs. She's like,
You have to.
hyena back
Yeah.
there. She just,
Well, she packs more stuff than she needs ever. And then I'm like, girl.
she's like, what jewelry did you bring? I bring out like this whole container, like, these are my earrings.
Oh my
It's like this whole thing. I'm like, these are my earrings. Because look, people that know me know I love crazy earrings.
Mm.
I like long earrings, short earrings, but they have to be light earrings, you know, because I've lost some hearing in my ear and it hurts when it's on that ear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can never make a decision. I don't know what I'm going to wear that day. And I have earrings for each outfit I'm doing. So I just take all my earrings. And then I dump them out on the bed. And I'm like, hey, what do you think looks good for this outfit I'm going to wear today? And then, you know, you have your outfit. And then when you go on red carpets, and I would, you got to have some dressy earrings on because you got this nice ball gown dress on or this formal dress. And then I'm like, hey, what did you bring? And Keisha's like, I got 3 pair of earrings. I'm like, I got 62.
Good. Wow.
If you feel like you don't need your 3, I have 61 replacements because I'll be wearing 1. And so we chuckle and people always look, they're like, we always look at your earrings to see what you're wearing because you always have fun earrings on, you know. And I was like, well, you only knew what I travel with.
That's right.
I had to have my hair straightener and you know, Keisha's got like this little mini traveling straightener, and I'm like, girl, that wouldn't even straighten like the leg on my hair or the hair on my leg, right? Like my leg hair. Like then I pull out like the big chi, you know, you get it the hair salons. I'm like, this is what a hair straightener looks like. Like that little one, I'll straighten the hair on my legs, and that's fine. And thankfully it's winter, and I don't have to worry about that.
I don't have that much hair on my head. So
Yeah, and she's like, well, this works for my hair, and I was like, have you looked at our hair?
Mm-hmm.
I have 20 times the amount of hair that you have, and if I need to straighten it, that's what I need to do. But we have a good time when we travel, and you know the thing is we just live that kind of like the writer's life. While it can be lonely, there's you can just have so much fun when you're out traveling and doing all of that. But you know, there's a time to be serious.
Mhm.
If you want to be serious when you're doing your book, and you want to be serious when you're doing the shows and that, but man, you can still have fun along the way.
Oh, absolutely.
You still have fun. Like I told people, listen, like I need someone to write me an entrance song. Like when I come in, I have my own song. I'm carrying my own books. Like I got my Chuck Taylors on, and you know, I only wear dresses to the red carpet events now.
Get you a certain style to come in on,
Right.
like your own style.
Absolutely. I'm just like, who of my musician friends wants to write me an entrance song because I'll use it.
I would love to see you come in Chuck Taylor's.
I should have brought them this weekend, but and then there's this time. This is funny. We can talk for hours on this, but So Keisha, she's very professional when she dresses up, right? And I'm like, man, you should see this jumpsuit I got myself. And Keisha's always like, oh my.
Lord.
Because I buy one or two kinds of jumpsuits, right? I buy the kind that I can get off myself. And then I buy the kind that I need a bathroom buddy with, right? And the kind where you know, as soon as you get to think you have to go to the bathroom, you need to make your way to the bathroom because it's going to take you 10 minutes to get out of this jumpsuit. Oh, yeah, like I wear the ones, you know, like the wedding dresses that have the little button and then you have the thing. Like I have some jumpsuits that have that kind of buttoning, right?
Okay.
And so when I wear them, I tell Keisha, like, hey, what are you wearing? Because I'm going to need a bathroom buddy. Or I'm just not going to drink anything. I'm going to be dehydrated and probably pass out when we leave because I can't get this off by myself, right? And same thing with dresses. Like, I'm synonymous for this. People laugh. They're like, oh, Chris has got to go to the bathroom. We're going to time them, see how long it's going to take. Then they come in and we're out there, you know, before you go to the stall. And I'm like, how did you get the zipper down? Because I really got to go. And, you know, you're going like the pee-pee dance there. And you're just like, oh, my gosh, my bladder hates me. And so I told Keisha, I was like, I got this rocking jumpsuit I'm going to wear. And first thing she said is, does it have a zipper or buttons? I said, yeah, why? She's like, she looks at herself, she's like, I'm gonna have to change what I wear then because I might have needed a bathroom buddy too, but we ain't doing that together. Because you know, it's just, and people laugh, they just laugh, they look to see what we're wearing. But yeah, I remember that time I was like, Keisha, you gotta hurry up, Like I'm like, I am not peeing myself in this wonderful outfit at this event that still has 3 hours to go. And like an idiot, I was less.
What's a jumpsuit?
So jumpsuit
It's
is
all one piece.
Oh,
one piece.
okay.
Like there's no button down here for you to take off like you would have pants. It's a one piece suit.
You
That'd be
literally
hard
have
to
to
know.
get fully undressed
Yeah,
to go
you
to the
gotta
bathroom.
fully undressed. Like from top, you gotta take it off down to your ankles
Wow.
for you to go to the bathroom.
Whew.
And let me tell
That's a
you,
lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
it was a killer jumpsuit. It was fantastic. And every time we're like two little kids, like we're having a good time in the bathroom trying to get it undone because it's just funny.
You should have seen when we went to this ball gown, this masquerade, and I had a hoop skirt on.
Oh my gosh, it was great. It was great. And then we're like, we always say, okay, I'm not going to buy anything like that again. And then we go get stuff. We're like, oh man, this is killer. We don't look at the back of, because we don't normally try things on. Like sometimes we do, but we kind of know what our sizes are. And we kind of get in the window because we have friends that are tailors. And so we buy them and we get them home. We turn around. We're like, oh man, it's the buddy system. Like that's what we say. Like we're coming with the buddy system. But man, when we went to the masquerade ball, and I had a ball gown on that, you know, thankfully you could pull it up because otherwise it would have been interesting trying to get out of that to go to the bathroom. She had a hoop skirt on. I'm like, you're not even going to fit in the bathroom stall. Like the skirt is bigger than the door to the bathroom. Like, hope you don't have to go to the bathroom the whole time you're here. But
Good
you know,
Lord.
you have that, but they make memories. Like we still be
bet.
talking about it, and a picture will come up, and we'll just be laughing and call each other, be like, "Hey, remember that time? Did you see your Facebook memory today?" it was when we went to this event. We wore this and whatever. So we know how to have a good time, and I think you have to do that when you gotta still have a good
Life
time.
is too short, and we know
That's
tomorrow's
life.
not promised. So
It's too short, you know.
you got to live, laugh, and love every day.
We
Mm-hmm.
write for impact, and we're serious when it comes to the writing process, and we're serious about books. But
Yes,
we're
we're
still have
definitely
a
walking in
good
our
time.
purpose.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
walking our purpose, and we're like, hey, look, we're still real people. We still know how to have a good time. And if we didn't do that stuff, people would be like, are they even getting along?
Mm-hmm.
Because they'd be looking at you, and you're trying to be all serious and they'll be like, we need to watch them because they might
There's
be
never a
fighting.
dull moment or a lack of laughter, for sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they fighting and they are just required to come to this event to promote their business?
Right.
And really, we're just like timing it like, okay, it's a 3-hour event, probably about an hour and a half. We're going to have to go to the bathroom. And so we get, we're scoping out like where the bathrooms are. Like, where are they? Which one's the women's? But you gotta have a good time.
Mhm.
You gotta have a good time. But also, we'll end on this, Keisha, because we can talk for hours about the writer's life. You would be surprised, well, not really, the opportunities you can have. So we were approached about a writer's event, and we're like, yeah, we're down for that. Like, we're all about teaching people the craft, but giving you like the serious parts of the craft too. That you're not meant to take all the knowledge with you. You're meant to pass it off, right? Biblically, it tells you you're not supposed to do that. And so we were approached about a writing retreat, and Keisha's always a contact because she's like, retreats, and I'm just like, man, those things stress me out sometimes because I got to figure out what to teach and go through that. So in that way, I'm pretty serious when it comes to that stuff. And we were like, they said, well, where do you want to have this retreat? And Keisha and I were always international people. Like, we're like, yeah, gotta do something international, right? And so we looked at each other and we're like, Bali. We want to go to Bali. We want to teach in Bali. Like we want to do Bali, and so we come back and we're like, yeah, we want to do Bali. And they're like, Bali? We're like, yeah, Bali. At this point, it's starting to sound like a broken record. We're like, Bali. We just need to walk around with a little sign that says Bali. And so we presented them with what we wanted to do, and they came back. So yeah, we're going to be doing a immersive writing retreat in Bali.
Amazing.
We're excited about that. Not only will you, and it's really different, Ty. So we're like, yeah, everybody does writing retreats, and how can we be different when we're doing this writing retreat? And so we're doing a fully immersive retreat. Okay, so you're gonna learn how to use your senses.
Oh, cool.
To figure out your scenes, right?
Okay.
And so you're going to have some in the hotel, where it's a 5-star hotel in Bali, and we're going to teach you, like, hey, here's the craft. But when you go to these places, so not only do you learn while you're there, but you get to experience the culture at Bali, right? So, there's a day with elephants. We're at a beautiful sunset. We're going to a temple and a dinner, and there's, I don't know, some Bali swing that everybody talks about that I think it's like a swing out in the middle of nowhere anyways, it's a swing.
Sounds like fun.
Keisha was like, we're doing it. And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay. And so, you're going to go to these places. And while you're experiencing this, you're going to have to use your senses, because afterwards, you're going to have to write stuff about where you were.
Oh, it's cool.
Using your senses. So it gets you in the idea of when you're out and about and thinking about things and you're in all these places, how to use your senses to be able to draw your scenes out and really, pull your reader in. When a reader's there and you're talking about a beach, you got to make them believe you're at the beach.
Yeah.
Smell like, what's the sand feel like in your... So we decided we're going to do that. And so, yeah, we're going to do a writing retreat in Bali.
That sounds amazing.
So, yeah, we're pretty excited about it. I know Keisha's excited about it.
I'm very excited about
Listen,
it.
My passport's been begging for some stamps.
That's
well,
right.
Yeah.
8 wonderful women get to have this experience. And
sorry, guys, it's women only.
Yeah, women only. And they get to fill out the information that's on our website, and we'll be happy to give you the information so you can get all the details. And we'll be doing a masterclass on it here soon. So you can also come and join us, and we'll walk you through the experience and the cost and all of the things that goes along with it. So we're excited about these new opportunities here in our company.
You find that all on our website, www.thehumbleheartbeat.com. And really, we covered a lot in this session. So, what stuck out to you? What did you take from the funny stories? And listen, if you had a chance, would you go write a story in Bali? So let us know in the comments. Remember, show the love, tag, and share. And again, you can see how this conversation just went everywhere. Right? It was totally uncharted. So you never know what you're going to get on each episode. So we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
Hey, this is Keisha. It's important that you leave your comments because we'd love to know about it. We'd also like for you to subscribe, share, and tag. See you next time.